What is the egg freezing process? What does that look like? Can you exercise throughout your egg freezing process? Other things that you should or should not be doing during your egg freezing process, people are wondering, is cost. Hello everybody, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Kelly. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video, I'm going to be doing a FAQ styled session where I answer some questions about the things I've learned undergoing the egg freezing journey. Before I started, I knew that I had a ton of questions, so I thought I would go through some of the questions that I have and share the answers that I've learned with you. I'm actually going through a second round of the egg freezing process myself at the moment, so everything is fresh in my brain. So let's get into it. I just want to give obviously a disclaimer. Everything I talk about is just from what I've learned undergoing the experience myself. I'm not a doctor. This is all just what if I go through the process myself. What is the egg freezing process? What does that look like? So once you've had the chat with your doctors, you're going to reach out to a fertility specialist and they're going to have a chat with you and an initial consult to talk to you about what the egg freezing process looks like and whether it is suitable for you. Just a bit of context, I am now 28. I turned 28 literally only a few weeks ago. I was 27 when I did my first round, and that is typically quite a young age to undergo egg freezing. My fertility specialist told me that most 27-year-olds she would advise not to undertake egg freezing. It is kind of circumstantial as to what the eligibility requirements are. In considering egg freezing, I undertook blood tests to test my AMH, which is my egg reserve levels. And I also had just another blood test to check what my genetics look like, just some overall like health history, my blood type, things like that. And then I also had to have an ultrasound just to see how many follicles I had and where they were sitting and everything. So once you've had all the preliminary testings, the doctors will tell you whether it's suitable for you to proceed with egg freezing. Once you've all got the sign off and everything's okay, and I won't go into more detail about that because it is super individual. First step is you then have a bit of a consultation and go through a bit of a plan with your doctors or your nursing team. So at Monash, where I do my egg freezing, I have my fertility doctor, and then I also work closely with her two nurses and obviously just the clinic in general. Apart from my initial consultation with my doctor and her or the team who's doing my removal, and then we have the post-removal chat, the stuff in between you're dealing with the nursing team, or at least I was dealing with the nursing team at Monash. Basically, I went in for a consult and I think it's like a plan overview. My nurse sat me down and just basically explained what the process was going to look like. I had to sign some consent forms, they give you a quote, and I will say the nurses, at least at Monash, were amazing, and I imagine that most good clinics would have an amazing nursing team. So if you are feeling nervous about your cycle, definitely reach out to them. My clinic as well, my understanding is they do offer a psychologist or a well-being support as well. I think you get one included consult, or they have someone on call. They have some sort of mental health support, which I think is really amazing. And I know for me, it was such a big decision and choice to make because I just felt I was so young, and I can appreciate how overwhelming it is. So if you're feeling those feelings, definitely make use of the services if they're available to you. Because your egg freezing journey is centered around your cycle, you're basically going to wait until you get your period. Once you've agreed, yeah, let's go, the doctor's giving you the okay, you're waiting for day one of your period to start. Once you get your period on day one, you are going into the clinic for your baseline blood test, or day 2 or day 3, depending if it's over a weekend and clinic hours and things like that. There is a bit of wiggle room, but they typically want you around the first day of your cycle, and it has to be a full bleed as well, no spotting. You have your baseline blood test, and then later in the afternoon, you'll get a call from the nursing team. At least how this works at Monash, I got a call from the nursing team who then tell me, yeah, you're okay to proceed with your injections starting tonight. What I was instructed to do is that anywhere between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. daily is set your time that you're going to do your injections. Currently now I aim to do my injections around 9 p.m. because I'm so scared that any earlier I might still be at work or held up or something. And 10 p.m. is too late, like I will be asleep. The first thing you're going to start injecting is your FSH, otherwise known as your follicle stimulation hormone. And this is what this bad boy looks like, at least for me. I know it can be super overwhelming injecting yourself if you're not used to needles. That was me. Oh my God, I'm so scared. But the clinic or your doctor should provide you with a lot of instructions beforehand, but they'll also send you a video, at least my team did.
Take the gun pen and remove the lid.
So I learned how to do it, and I promise you, once you do it once, you kind of get better and more comfortable with it. So basically, this is what your FSH hormone is going to look like. Mine is a pen. You take the cap off, you screw the needle on, and then you wind it up. There's a little dial. You wind up the dosage to whatever they tell you you're going to do, and then you grab your lower belly fat, stick it in, and Bob's your uncle. I'm gonna wind that bad boy down as I need that for tonight. So that's the first step. That is day 1. You're going to continue those steps for the next 5 days. And then on day 5, they'll typically ask you to go in for a blood test just to make sure that your body's responding well to the FSH hormone. Assuming that's all okay, come day 5 in the afternoon, they'll give you a call and they'll let you know they want you to proceed with injecting your next drug. My understanding is that it is to stop your body from ovulating because they specifically want to save your ovulation till right before retrieval time. So this is what this needle looks like. I'll take the cap off. See if it'll... So that's what that looks like. Come 9 p.m. when injection times roll around, you up your injection from just having this bad boy to having this and this. You're continuing to stimulate your follicles and you're also stopping your body from entering ovulation. Ooh, yeah, it's a bigger needle. So that approximately happens on day 5 of the cycle. Come day 7 or 8, I think it's day 8, you go into the clinic for some blood tests and also an ultrasound. So again, the blood test is just to see how your body's going, and then the internal ultrasound is then to look at your follicles nice and closely to see if they're growing. I believe I was told by one of the nurses in my last round that they're looking for like follicle growth about 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters a day. For me, when it was time for extraction, I believe my biggest follicle was around 22, 23 millimeters. Maybe 1 or 2 of my follicles didn't respond as well and they didn't grow too much, but that is typically what they are looking for, is my non-medical understanding. Anyway, day 8, you're basically continuing to inject these 2 bad boys, and then from day 8 onwards, you're going into the clinic every second day for blood tests and ultrasounds until they tell you they want to proceed with extraction. For me, I had my extraction on day 15, so it was the whole process took 15 days in total. Some people it takes less time. They'll know approximately 2 days-ish beforehand when they want you to do your extraction. For me, as early as I think it was like a Wednesday, when I was having my ultrasound, the sonographer was like, from how things are looking, I reckon they'll want you to extract on Monday. I don't think they're quite ready to be extracted on Friday. And then come Friday, the sonographer's like, yeah, you're looking good. Like, I reckon you're good for Monday's extraction. Blood test came back, got a call from the nurses in the afternoon. They're like, yeah, we're going to extract on Monday. Then what happens is, I don't have them with me at the moment, but you basically stop taking these 2 bad boys after that. And then 36 hours prior, so for me that was Saturday evening, they tell you the exact time that 36 hours prior to your extraction, you're going to take your trigger injection. So for me, this was 2 needles. I can't even remember what they're called, but I had 2 trigger needles that I had to inject at exactly 7:30, 36 hours prior to extraction on Monday. So that was it. After I took those 2 trigger needles, I was done. I didn't have to do anything on Sunday night before my extraction on Monday. And then on Monday came the removal day. It's pretty simple, pretty standard hospital guidelines. Like, you can't eat after midnight. It's nothing crazy. You're not fasting. You're not doing any prep for anything. I think I was the first off the ranks. I had to be in the clinic at like 6:30 in the morning. Super straightforward. Having undergone many surgeries at this point for all my endo crap, I'm pretty comfortable around the hospital process. I'm a little bit desensitized to it, to be honest. Same old thing, you get in your hospital gown, they put your cannula in, and then they knock you out, and Bob's your uncle, they extract your eggs. Once you wake up, for me, they sat me up. Within half an hour, I was sitting in a recovery chair. I was given a muffin, I was given some tea. The nurses and doctors came and spoke to me, said it went really well. A nurse came and told me how many eggs they collected, and then I was told that afternoon was when I get the phone call from someone in the lab who would confirm exactly how many eggs would be put on ice. My understanding is that even though they might be able to extract a certain amount, not all of them are mature enough, is the word I believe they use, to be frozen. So that was the process of the whole egg freezing journey. I didn't have too many symptoms throughout the process in general. I didn't struggle too much with any side effects or pain. Even now in my 2nd cycle, I'm about halfway through and I feel maybe a little bit bloated, but apart from that, I'm okay. And then it was the same afterwards. I think I had a little bit of cramping, but nothing that, my heat pack and Panadol couldn't fix. I was able to be back at work, maybe not the next day, the day after. So that was my experience, and I don't want to take away, because I know people have very varying different experiences and some people have a much harder journey, but for me, I found it pretty seamless. That is the egg freezing process from start to finish in a very high level blabbed on way. Let's talk about some of the other questions that come with egg freezing. And I know a big one that a lot of people are wondering is cost. So I'm not going to beat around the bush for this one. It is so freaking expensive, and I honestly don't know how people afford it. I was super lucky that I had some help in paying for the first round and the second round, because otherwise I don't know how you do it. So for me, my first round, actually both rounds, cost approximately $12,000. 12,000 Australian dollars. So it is expensive. With my condition, because I was medically advised and I qualified for the Medicare rebate. Don't get me wrong, that is amazing. Like, getting any money back is phenomenal, but it's not a lot. It's, I think from the 12 and a bit grand we paid, I think it was about 3 grand we got back. So it's not amazing. The other thing that I was, I guess, a little bit disappointed about is I pay for private health insurance every month, but unless you're in the top gold tier membership, and I believe it's the same across all private health funds, they don't cover anything to do with egg freezing or anything like that. That's a whole separate rant. It's expensive, and I genuinely, my heart aches for people who don't have support or the finances to do this, because it's fucking tough. I think what a lot of people would want to know is, what is the quote unquote success rate for having a baby with frozen eggs? Again, I'm gonna reiterate, I'm not a doctor. What my doctor made clear from me at the start is it is no guarantee, and that the chances of having a baby is that you want at least 10 eggs on ice to have what's considered an 80% chance of success. I didn't get 10 eggs my first round, which is why I'm doing the process again. But from one standpoint, I'm quite lucky that I'm doing it at an age where my eggs are biologically young, because I'm 27, 28. So the quality of my eggs are deemed to be good, but yeah, it's not a guarantee. And I believe the 80% success rate is for someone under the age of 35. But again, I'm not a doctor. Another thing that I learned through this process is you can actually have some level of contraception when undergoing this process. So I had the Mirena in. Granted, my Mirena, when I first did my first round of egg freezing, was not sitting correctly. So while I had my eggs extracted, I also got them to take out the Mirena that was sitting incorrectly and put a new Mirena in. But if you have a Mirena in, you can go through the process as normal with the Mirena in. If you have concerns around the fact that you may not have a period, or your period is infrequent and you just have spotting or things like that, chat to your doctor, because that was the amazing thing that I learned, particularly this round, because with the new Mirena sitting properly, I couldn't tell if my period was my period or it was just spotting. So when I started to bleed and I was like, I think this is spotting, I still went in anyway for a baseline blood test, and they confirmed that it counted as period. So if you are concerned, speak to your doctors. That was the amazing thing I learned, is that they can kind of tell where your cycle is at and if it's your period from a blood test. So that is a top tip I learned. So what happens if you freeze your eggs but you don't use them? So this was something that I hadn't really thought about too much, to be honest, prior to this, but it is weirdly something you need to think about, because it's something you have to sign a form for. In my head, I always thought that if I didn't use my eggs, I'd be happy to donate them to someone who was in need of them. But apparently that's a whole process in Australia, and I haven't looked into it, because the only options they gave me at the clinic was a donation option to science, another medical option, or destroy. So there's not a lot of options, but apparently donating them to someone else is quite difficult in Australia. How long can your eggs be stored? As far as I'm aware, they can be stored indefinitely, but again, I'm now 28. Your chances significantly decrease after a certain age bracket. Where I'm at now, if I don't use them before I'm 35, I don't know what we'll do with them, but they should be fine to use till that point. I'm hoping after this round of egg freezing, I'll be done and they can just sit on ice until I need them for the next several years. What are your emotions like during the process? As they're mucking with your hormones a lot during this process, everyone is very different. I would like to think that I was quite reasonable through the 2 weeks of injections. Honestly, I felt fine. I felt fatigued, maybe like tired, but I will say that immediately after my extraction, I have cried so much in that 48-hour period over nothing. I remember I was literally lying with my partner maybe like 2 days after in bed, and he said the most randomest comment to me, and I just burst into tears, and he was like laughing. He's like, why are you crying? And I was like, I don't know. Be prepared to be very hormonal, either from the start of the injection process till the end, or at least at the end, because yeah, by the end of the extraction process, I was a mess. I was crying for a few days after. Like, it really hit me. Okay, so this one's for all my exercise girlies. Can you exercise throughout your egg freezing process? Again, I'm gonna preface by saying this was my experience, and it's funny enough that someone else who was going through the egg freezing process at the same time with me got told something different from their doctors. So what I was told from my doctors is that you really want to rein in what you're doing when you're egg freezing. Egg freezing is obviously quite a big thing to be putting your body through. It's a lot of hormones rushing around, right? I was told that you want to try and make this process as stress-free as possible, and that a lot of activity, particularly a lot of activity that I do, running, Muay Thai, strength training, can bring a lot of stress on the body, so we want to try and rein that in. What my doctor told me is that really during this whole process from period day 1, injecting myself, extraction, until I get my period next cycle, is pretty much rein it back in and just stick with walking, gentle cycling, like anything that is considered low impact on the body. Other things that you should or should not be doing during your egg freezing process. So again, this comes back to down to stress on the body. I was told by my doctors to refrain from drinking alcohol and also to limit my caffeine intake to just 1 coffee a day. I typically have like a large coffee in the morning, so I brought that down to a small, but then I will still have like a 0 soft drink or something in the evening. Like I'm genuinely drinking a 0 Coke right now. And yeah, I haven't had any alcohol throughout the process as well. Support following the procedure. As you are having anesthetic on the day, you need someone to pick you up from the hospital and, you know, take you home. I was also told that I need to have someone with me for 24 hours after as well. The first round I did that. My partner picked me up and stayed with me for 24 hours. This time around, I don't think he's gonna do that. It's just all precautionary, like genuinely, I was so fine. I think I spent the afternoon having a good old snooze because I was out of it with the anesthetic. I just want to throw in as well, this isn't specific to egg freezing, this is just all hospital procedures as well. I know a lot of people have a fear around going under anesthetic. I had the same fear a few years ago when I hadn't done it before because it's so, I get it, because it's so freaky to know that 1 minute you're awake and the next minute you're asleep and all these things are happening while you're not conscious. But let me tell you, it is the best part of the whole thing in my experience. Every time I go to hospital, my favorite part of it is seeing the anaesthetist. I think I've said this in my other vlogs before when I talk about my experiences in hospital. Nothing brings me more joy, specifically to the point when you are about to go in for your procedure and you speak to the anaesthetist, and like as you're literally getting ready, they give you this shot of like liquid Valium, was what one of the anesthetists told me. And I think for the 30 seconds before you're put to sleep, like the happiest 30 seconds of your life. I know it's easy for me to say, but it's nothing to worry about. It's honestly the best part of the whole thing. You're gonna have a great nap and just don't worry about it. Anyway guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions, if you're going through the egg freezing process yourself, please do feel free to comment them below and I'll do my best to answer them. It's not an easy time. Please lean on family and friends for support. Ask your doctor and nurses questions, and no question's a stupid question. Anything that will reassure you is gonna be super helpful. I am now, I think it's day 7. I think it's day 7 for me. So I'm officially halfway through my egg freezing journey. And once I am done, I really hope that I am done because I have goals and I have many races booked in for the later half of the year. That is where I stand. I am almost done with the 2nd round of egg freezing. I'm halfway. Once I'm officially cleared by the doctor, we are hitting a busy training vlog. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, we do all the things together here and I'll see you in the next video.